Well, hello, friends. We're here in Lancaster, New Hampshire at Crane's Snowmobile Museum. We're about to view the 8th annual induction ceremony of the Eastern Snowmobile Racing Hall of Fame. If you're in the area, come on by and join us. We're at 172 Main Street in Lancaster, New Hampshire. I've got the camera rolling here as people are taking their places. We hope to get started here with the ceremony in just a few minutes. So grab yourself some popcorn and something to drink and settle in for the next hour or so, and we're going to have a really good time. Cool. Well, that's rolling. That's going to pick up any conversation we have soon. We got to keep it clean.
I'll keep it short. Make my wife happy.
Yes.
Hello, everybody. Could the 2024 inductees please take the front row of the seats?
Not recording yet, are you?
Yeah. It's going on live. Yeah. I had to go live at 1:30, or it won't let me on after that. Made an announcement that they'll be starting soon. Yeah. So if you're just joining us, we're here at Lancaster, New Hampshire at Crane's Snowmobile Museum for the 8th annual induction ceremony for the Eastern Snowmobile Racing Hall of Fame. Hope to get started here in the next few minutes, so do not go anywhere unless it's to get popcorn and a drink, or maybe even to use the bathroom. But we'll be starting here very soon, so do not go anywhere. So we roll.
It's sensitive to the sun because of some pills I take, so
Sure. Yeah.
smart.
Yes. Good move.
A little warmer than yesterday, too.
Yeah.
Any shows in Vermont that are heavy with snow. I was at one once, I can't remember where, and it was a chunk of snow that's there.
Wow. I'm thinking the Washington show in Washington, Vermont. They usually have snow jets. I wouldn't say heavy on snow jet, but there's usually a good half a dozen or more.
Fairgrounds?
No, it's at Carpenter Field. Yeah. That's an excellent show.
You know, I have no memory, so.
Sure. It's just outside of the capital of Montpelier. Right up 89.
I don't, this made me think it was close to the western border of Vermont.
Well, there's usually one out down near Rutland. I can't think of the name of it or where they have it. I think it is at a fairground now that you mentioned it, though.
I passed I think it's a fairground someplace where I think let's be show. Front. Let
Yeah.
that a couple times. I did one way before that. Like I said, I think up on the left side.
Yeah.
Close to the wheel from that forward.
Yeah. That could be the one.
Oh, that's no good there.
Nice. Really? Yeah.
Yeah,
Nice.
that's why it's snow jet country.
Yes. It's true. I saw a lot of snow jets growing up. A lot of people had them. That must be why.
That's why.
Yeah.
We had snow jets. We had a dealer in Ireland. Most ranked in the road with it, so we called it.
Yeah.
It should be out. So
That was what the brand after that. Sure. Thank you. So in case you're just joining us, we're here in Lancaster, New Hampshire at Cranes Snowmobile Museum for the 8th annual induction ceremony of the Eastern Snowmobile Racing Hall of Fame. We'll be getting started here any moment, so just grab your popcorn and a drink and settle in. And it's going to be a really good time here for the next hour or so. We expect to start here anytime in the next few minutes. And thank you for viewing. Cool.
Good afternoon, everybody. I guess we're going to get started. Welcome to the 2024 Eastern Snowmobile Racing Hall of Fame induction. The video, personally, we want to say thank you to Mike Labiere for doing the video. And for those of you who don't know me, my name is Melissa, and I am Paul Crane's daughter. And this is my son, Matthew, and he's going to be helping. Also, I'd like to say that, you know, Edward Rosebrook and my father are still a very active part of this. And they will be supervising and putting their opinion in all the time. But they are handing it down because it's time. So thank you for all coming. I would like to mention the directors first. So it's Paul Crane. Please raise your hand. Greg Allen. Shane Beatty is not here, but he's part of it. Bobby Martin.
Bob, put your hand up.
Hey, he's standing up now. Thank you. Oops. Ed Staub. Right there. Russ Swenson. And Paul B. Where is he? There he is. I didn't want to mutilate your name. I'm sorry. Okay. There is one thing I would like to say is that we are very saddened by the loss of a few of our racers this year. Roger Poulin is one of them. And we lost one of our directors, Bruce Borovach. Can we have a moment of silence for them? Thank you. And now I would like to introduce Chip Elwood. He has something that he would like to give to the museum.
Oh, this like there.
There about 2 or 3 weeks ago, I went to Boonville to the Woodsman's Convention and stopped and saw an old friend of mine, Dave Ernst. Well, some of you know, Dave was a race director, and he was always very active in Boonville and everything else where he lived. And we were talking, and all of a sudden he said to me, he says, I've got a lot of stuff here. I said, what's that? And he says, well, I have all the records of the USSA Eastern Division board minutes and everything else. I said, you're kidding me. And he said, no. And I said, well, you know where that ought to go. And he said, that's a pretty good idea. So not only did he give me all the records, but he gave me, I don't know how many, 100, 200 photos, mostly all from Boonville races. And thanks to Dave Ernst, I want to take and give this to Paul for the museum.
Thank you very much. Also, we have Russ Swenson, who would like to say a few words.
So when I heard that Keith Armstrong was going to be inducted today, I had to dig back through my archives because I knew we had some photos. He came down into Connecticut quite a bit, was very successful in the years 1971 on up through. And we have a stock car track there called Thompson Speedway. It's a 3/4 mile bank oval. And we had taken some pictures, and I went through and I found the best one that I had of him, and I had him sign it, and I'm going to donate it to the museum to hang on the wall. So it's Keith in action. Gave him a copy. And I also have a copy of the original that I gave him. This is the original photograph that was taken back then. It was actually done on 35mm slides, but converted into a photo. So anytime somebody's getting in, especially from our neck of the woods, I always like to honor that individual. Thanks, Keith.
Okay, so now why we are all here is to induct these wonderful people. So our first one will be Keith Armstrong. Keith's snowmobile racing career spanned from 1968 to 1975. His racing helped his father sell snowmobiles in Pownell, Vermont, and race he did. In 1971, at the Eastern State Champion in Springfield, Mass, Armstrong's racing a 440 Rupp beat Mario Andretti and both Al and Bobby Unser racing a factory snow jet. Because of the shellacking he put on the world famous Indy drivers, Keith was invited by Tom Blackburn from the Snowjet distributors to race Snowjet for the 1972. His was the first Snowjet from New England to qualify for the Snowmobile World Series at Ironwood, Minnesota. Oh no, I think it's Michigan. Sorry, my mistake, Michigan. The New York Rupp distributor pulled Armstrong off the T-Jet, putting him back on the Mod 3 Rupp for 1973. It was a smart move. His talent on the Eastern track that year not only garnered him enough points for another invitation to the Snowmobile World Series at Malone, New York, but took first place in Mod 3. In New York State, there is no bigger race than that of the New York State Championship at Boonville. There were over 5,000 big names, 5,000 active drivers competing in the USSA during the golden era of every big name snowmobile racer in the world showed up for the chance to win one of the most coveted trophies in racing, the Adirondack Cup. For 1974, the name on that trophy is Vermont racer Keith Armstrong. How's that for helping Dad sell snowmobiles? So Keith, would you please come?
That is super. That's my wife. I did the most of it because she was such a great help. She died 32 years ago. Yeah. And when I talked to Bruce, I told him that I couldn't find an individual picture, but I found this one and Barb right on my shoulder, and total happiness. And when he called me back and told me that he was going to use that picture, I couldn't be happier.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
All right. That was great. On to the next one. Our next one is Laney Benoit. Laney Benoit. Laney began racing snowmobiles in 1972 and quickly began winning local races around Vermont. During his career, he drove Yamahas, Arctic Cats, and Skidoos. It was not long before his talent for winning races became second nature, as Benoit would not only win in his class, but would see all the larger classes driving sleds with much smaller engine displacements. Laney was a stickler when it came to sled setup, and he credits much of this to his success in winning 4 number 1 gold bibs in a row, 1981 to 1984. At this first Snowmobile World Series at Alpena, Minnesota, right? Michigan, sorry. In 1982, Laney won A, B, and C stock classes. In his first 2 World Series, he won 6 first and seconds. At the World Series in Presque Isle, Maine, Laney also won A, B, C stock classes. Overall, Benoit won 19 World Series titles. In his first time at Eagle River, Benoit won 2 first and 2 second places. In his second year at Eagle River, he won all 4 stock classes in one day and was the first person to do so, plus he won Mod 2. Laney won the Massachusetts Governor's Cup at least 6 times. At Valcourt, Quebec in 1989, he won 7 of 8 classes entered. As a driver, Benoit has won an estimate of 850 finals during his lengthy career. Not satisfied with the performance of production carburetors, Laney designed and built his own carburetors, which are now widely used by others. He also built his own race engines. While many of his former competitors have long since retired, Laney Benoit is still building world-class drag sleds that have won 9 base master shout-outs, many wins at Eppings and other tracks around the country. Would you please come up?
Yeah, this picture here, can't remember the fellow's name. He was getting really mad at me because I couldn't find my scrapbook anywhere. So he finally found something of me there. So, and I really appreciate everything that you guys have done, and brings tears to my eyes that you're having me here. So, yes, I'm glad to be here. So, thank you very much, and we appreciate it.
All right. And our third inductee is William Bucky Buckland. Bill Buckland, a member of Lancaster Snowdrifters team, began racing in 1962. Many early wins were not covered by the news media. Bucky took at least first, second, and third at the 1964 Rangeley Maine Snowmobile Derby on a tin cab skidoo. In 1965, Buckland won the oval, the cross country, and took second in the slalom at the first Laconia International. Bill, now racing for Timberland Machines, Inc., nearly upset the Bombardier factory team at the 1966 Hiawatha Cup in Lake Placid, New York, taking second only 4 points behind racing a smaller displacement skidoo. Buckland beat the Polaris factory team at the 1966 Lancaster Grand Prix in Class A, becoming the first person to have his name engraved on the brand new and now famous Kilkenny Cup. Because of his valued stature in racing, it was Bill alone who secured a deal with Timberland Machines, Inc. That the company supplied the parts, pay for their rooms, transportation, and the drivers be allowed to keep their winnings. At the 1966 State of Maine Championship races in Skowhegan, Maine, he took a first and second in Class A. Buckland and Timberland took 21st and 28 trophies at the 1966 Laconia International. Bill grabbed third place at the 1968 Laconia International Coath Cup. Bucky showed the rest of the field that a 31-year-old guy with only one good eye can still win big. At the 1968 Balsams Cup, he won the speed run, the obstacle, the cross country, and the jumping competition, winning overall. So he is not with us, but his daughter is here. And his wife. Oh, I didn't see her. Sorry. You're hiding. Could you please come up?
Yeah, Bill Buckland was a very close friend of mine for years and years. He used to hang around my Uncle Dick Monahan's golf station. And very dear friend of mine, he and Marion. We go back a long ways together. And Bucky was probably the first real superstar of New Hampshire racing in the early going. It was between him and Bob Fortin and Bruce Dunham of Maine, who were the very early huge superstars. Mary Dunham is over there. Mary, stand up, please. Mary Dunham came over from Maine. We lost Bruce about 1.5 years ago, and we love Mary, and she came over to join this today. So it's really nice. It's nice that you saw Bucky being inducted here today, Marion. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you, Andrew. I know he would be so grateful and so excited if he were here. Thank you. All of you who worked so hard.
Can you, Marion, turn the photo around so we can take your picture.
I just want to say thank you to the Cranes and this amazing museum. My dad adored you. I spent many hours, as did my sister, who's sitting over there, going through his scrapbooks with him, and he was proud of his racing career. And he'd be over the moon at this, and we know he is. But I want to say thank you all. What you do is amazing, and Dad loved you very, very much.
Thank you. And our next inductee is Catherine Nedrow. Catherine had enough points to be invited to the 1970s Snowmobile World Series at Rhinelander, Wisconsin, taking second place in Powder Puff 3. She also set a world record speed of 63 miles an hour in a very first class for women competing in women's Mod 1 at the Summer Grass Nationals in Wadington, New York. Wow, that's impressive. Nedrow led in points during the 1972 season in women's Mod 1, women's 2, and women's 6, is it? By winning every race in all 3 classes during the season. She was awarded Top Female Driver of the Year by the Northeast Snowmobiler magazine. Kathy was invited again in 1972 to the Snowmobile World Series at Ironwood, Michigan, where she took first place in women's and 5th place in women's Mod 1. In Kathy's first race of 1973 season, she was thrown off her sled, but when she got up and tried to get off the track, someone hit her from behind and fractured 5 vertebrae in her back. This tough lady only missed the next event and grabbed second place in the 3rd event. She finished the regular season second in points in women's 2 and women's Mod 1. Kathy Nedrow made history in 1974 by being the first woman to be voted Women's Driver of the Year in the USSA Eastern Division. It also marked the first time that women were presented with gold bibs. Kathy earned number 2. At 1974 World Series in Eagle River, Wisconsin, Nedrow grabbed second place in the women's 2, but also became the first woman to become National Women's Driver of the Year, covering all USSA divisions. Kathy again raced into many first and second finishes during her final season in 1975. She enjoyed every minute of her time as a top lady racer. She received a plaque from the Arctic Cat Factory in 1973, recognizing her for representing their brand with grace and sportsmanship. She was one of the best, and she is. So can we please present this to you?
This is just very exciting for me to finish up this way. This is just so pleasant. Thank you so very much for this. Some flowers. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Okay. Oh.
Last but not least, is our last inductee is Robert Schwartz. Did I say that right? I did. Okay. Close? Okay. Bob and his dad, O.G. Schwartz, who owned a generator water pump supply company in Rochester, New York, began as an Arctic Cat distributor in 1963. He raced in many small local events in the early years, and after the sport took off, Bob opened his warehouse to the Arctic Cat Factory teams when they came east to race at Boonville, Lake Placid, and other tracks. In 1968, Schwartz formed a Neuro Equipment Inc. company, separating his budding snowmobiles business from the original company. Bob developed a very close relationship with Arctic engineering genius Bill Ness and others in R&D who supplied Neuro with the latest up-to-date information in racing development. No less of a genius in his respective field, Bob G. Schwartz had the uncanny ability to gather all the right people in all the right places and keep everyone happy at the same time. He also had the knack of picking great talent. This was no more evident than his sponsorship of the Widowmakers racing team with another genius in Everett Regal building the sleds with Ken Young, Faye Parnley, and Chip Elwood and Richie Sharp as drivers. Now selling Arctic Cats by the thousands, a new warehouse had to be built in Farmington, New York, and Neuro Equipment moved to the new location in 1972. In the same year, Bob became a director of the USSA. Neuro's heroes sponsored several top racing teams from 1970 through to the early 1980s. But perhaps there was no Eastern snowmobile racing team in history which matched the win record of the most famous independent team in racing, Team of Old, with Bill of Old as sled builder, Chip Elwood, Ron Hall, Herb Yancey, Dave Yesas, and Ray Winzik, and Pat of Old as drivers. No one came close. In retrospect, what began with 4 Arctic Cat snowmobilers in 1963 ended with the territory covering 13 states, all because of one man, Robert G. Schwartz. And his son is here to accept the award.
Wow. My dad would be so humbled at this point. He was a very much behind the scenes
get stuff done type of person. And he took a very little dream that he had in the beginning and let it expand with the people and the drivers that he selected. So I have a little bit different outlook on it. Since being his son, he brought our first snowmobile home when I was probably 5. So I grew up in the whole golden era of the snowmobile industry. When Kathy and Chip and everybody else was racing around the pits, I was probably the small kid who kept getting in the way. So, or trying to fetch parts from somebody else, one of those. But no, I think my dad, he built his business through associations, and associations he had with dealers, associations he had with Arctic Enterprises, and associations he had with his drivers. And he was a firm believer on the motto that, you know, race on Sunday, sell on Monday. And he went out and proved that right. We lost Dad 20 years ago, and there's probably still not a day that goes by that I don't think of him. He'd be just unbelievably honored for this plaque. Thank you.
Well, that wraps it up for everybody. Oh, I'm sorry. I have one more thing. Russ Swetson has some words.
In going through the pictures, I came across something that I never thought I still had, because I remembered once I found this in the book, I cut the original one out, made a poster of it, and hung it in the Arctic Cat dealership in the next town over. So for years, my magazine was missing this page, and I could never figure out what that page was until I ended up with another copy. And I made a copy of this today because of Nero and Team Able and everything. And the title of the article is Yancey Roars at Canaan. Okay, so I'm just going to read a couple of these highlights in here and give this to her. It says, Herb Yancey stopped off at Brant's Lodge in Alaska on his way back to New York after working the summer in a motorcycle shop in Fairbanks. At Brant's, Yancey watched the factory snow pro teams test their new racers. He was interested in the opposition. He had yet to see the new specially built machines Arctic Cat Enterprises was putting together for Team Able and Nero, but he figured Arctic would have to make a lot of big improvements to keep up. On December 17th and 18th, Yancey and Abel's squad rolled into tiny Canaan, New Hampshire to face the tight third-mile oval on a set of Arctic machines that had little test time and not a victory to date. Yancey changed all that. Yancey, a construction worker from Liverpool, New York, dominated racing at the Canaan Lions Club event by taking 5 wins and 1/4 in 6 races. He also won the New Hampshire Lions Governor Cup for the second year in a row and pocketed $650 in prize money. Yancey's toll might have been more. He won Super Mod 340 and 440, Mod 2 and Mod 3, and 440X. But the abbreviated program was cut short both days because of approaching darkness. Yancey's show overshadowed a great effort by Larry Swanson of Tunbridge, a 20-year-old civil engineering student at Vermont Technical College who won the Super Mod 250, Super Stock 440, plus 2 Super Stock 250 titles aboard Skidoo machines. Swanson, like Yancey, was aboard new equipment at Canaan, but the 2 stars didn't share opinions about their sleds. I'm relatively new to the IFS concept, Yancey said. I've ridden just 2 weekends now. There's a big difference, but I haven't got it ironed out in my own mind. Basically, the front and rear of the sled are hooked more positively to the track surface compared to the old sleds. The old sleds skid a lot front and rear. With the greater track adhesion offered by the IFS sleds, you can definitely go faster through the corners. Actually, I have less than 20 laps on each of the new sleds. They are quite new. There is only one strategy you can use on this Canaan track, Yancey continued, particularly when it's rough and bumpy as it is today. Get out of the gate as quickly as you can, be first into turn 1, and pray you can maintain your position for the remainder of the race. There is very little passing on a track like this, so if you can get out front, you have a real advantage until you lose your carb ride, break something, or go out of adjustment on your handling. Then it goes on to two riders provided Yancey with some head-to-head competition in the Mod 2 final Sunday. Wayne Nicholson of Greenville, New York, was slow off the line aboard a Skidoo acquired over the summer from J.R. Tozier. But he fought his way through the pack to take the win ahead of Yancey and early leader Harold Kiefner. It was a comeback in more than one for Nicholson. I used to run USSA Eastern Division, Nicholson said, but had an older sled, a Thunderjet. This is the first year I've gotten back to the point where I can say I have a decent sled. It goes on to say that getting a competitive sled makes a world of difference. I started thinking about a new sled back when the temperature was 95 degrees. I made calls to several top drivers in the East who had Skidoos. J.R. Tozier was the only one at the time willing to talk a deal. My mechanic, Jerry Baker, and I made a few alterations to J.R.'s old sled, and it seems to run really well. Ron Barnes, a Polaris rider from Northfield, Mass., who manages an IGA grocery store during the off-season, was another rider who gave Yancey a battle. And Sunday's 440X final postponed, and Saturday's 440X final postponed until Sunday morning. Barnes made a super ride that stunned spectators. Yancey broke on top going into turn 1 with Oscar St. Ange right on his tail. By lap 2, Barnes had his Polaris side by side with Yancey between turn 1s and 2. I looked at the other side a couple of inches from my nose and saw number 2 as big as life. Hey, that's Herb Yancey, I said, and I decided to go for it. Basically, Herb had more smoke than I did, but he didn't seem to be handling all that well, and I figured I might be able to get him in one of those really tough corners. How'd that work out? I set him up for the final turn, but just as I started to go around under him, the back end came around and I hit the inside banking and went flying through the air. I was hurt a bit in the shoulder, but not badly. So basically it just goes on, but I thought it was kind of interesting that several of the members here in the hall are mentioned in this back then. And I just wanted to make a copy of it and read it here so everybody would know the type of caliber that we have here in the East, where a lot of these drivers were shunned from getting into the regular Hall of Fame because they're not as good as the drivers out West. Well, I'll tell you what, they're a tough breed right here. And I think everybody will attest to that. Thank you.
We have someone who'd have a few more words to say.
Hello, everyone. Hi, Rick. This is Pauline, Roger Poland's sister. I drove over today because I really wanted to let you folks know how honored I am for him. And this has to be everything that Rick and everyone else has been posting, the pictures, the memories have just been flooding me with memories. I haven't been here for 49 years. And when we did, that's when we took my car out on the track. If you read the story that Rick posted. But I really want to thank his community of racers and support of everyone. He was a great guy, very saddened that he's gone. I am very thankful and very happy to Rick for bringing the memories up in front of me. I've been in a flood of tears, but it's okay. He raced hard. He loved what he did. He was an honest man. He may have raced a little too hard, I see, by Mr. Clark's opinion. But mother and father and myself went to every race, with the exception of Ironwood, Michigan. And there was a couple of other Eastern finals that we were too far away. Father had to work. So, but what was nice is they stepped out and bought a Winnebago so we could follow him every week. So I was that young 110-pound young woman running around as close as I could to my brother. And my father and I kept a tight eye where he was on the track or if he was in the pits. But his energy just exuded. I used to race powder puff I wasn't as successful as you, but we concentrated more on supporting Roger and traveling with him. And Mother was a great contributor for his food because everyone wanted to come in the Winnebago and eat lunch with us or dinner with us. And Dad and I were always right next to the track. So this has brought up some very nice things for me. I know he's honored. I know he's with us today. I know he's one of the proudest men ever that you guys got inducted. And I thank you very much.
We have Hall of Fame shirts for sale and DVDs, and all the money goes towards being able to do all of this. So get your wallets out, purchase one for us. And that concludes it today. So enjoy. There was some food and some cookies in there and coffee and water. Please help yourself. And thank you all for coming and making this possible, especially you guys. Thank you.
I'm gonna cut in front of you. So I'm going in quick to get a head start for a look at the unveiling. So I can set up my tripod before anyone gets in there. Excuse me, thank you. All right. Oh, this is perfect, yes. Okay. Get myself situated here. So this is the Wall of Fame for the Hall of Fame. And we're going to be having the unveiling here in just a moment. And while we're in here in Crane's Snowmobile Museum, I'm going to do a quick 360 pan. Show you what it's like in here. I'm doing all kind of contortions to be able to do this. But if you're ever in Lancaster, we're at 172 Main Street, Crane's Snowmobile Museum. Do not want to miss it. I'm going to swing back around just because I've got a cable all wound around here and my camera's getting wonky. But yeah, this is where it's all going to happen here in just a moment. Everyone's going to come in for the unveiling. And this is the Wall of Fame for the Hall of Fame. Thank you, everyone who's been viewing all along here for the last hour or so. We appreciate it. That was a wonderful ceremony. And yeah, we're all going to come in here and have an unveiling and just, I don't know how long, but I wanted to get in here first to get a good spot for the camera and be out of the way, but still have a good view. And they've got some food over there. You got people coming in.
Are you there?
Yes. I want to get the unveiling first, then I'm gonna, it's gonna be a little bit.
It's gonna take, always takes a few minutes.
Yeah, maybe I
I'd
should
grab
head over
myself.
there. What are the options over there?
Turkey, roast beef. I can't remember the third one.
Sure, that's all right.
Cookies.
Yeah, maybe I will check it out. I'll be back in a moment. Just taking the camera in here because we're live on it. You want to get in front of that, make faces.
I'm gonna leave in a little while, so, nice to meet
You
you.
enjoyed it?
Yeah, it was, that was touching, you know,
Nice.
and you can't explain it to somebody who got to see it. You know.
Mhm.
Now I remember your name.
I'm proud of you.
See how long it sticks.
Proud of you.
One day ain't too bad for me, let me tell you. I'll go home and I wonder who my wife's in.
What did you end up eating today, for breakfast?
I went on the place in the right to granite something, but then the line was long. Yeah, slow in there. And they were like, you know, oh, and then give me, so. I
Okay.
got, that's where across the street, the menu was next. So I just got an egg on bagel with some cheese and, you know, it wasn't earth shattering, but, so I just went and had a little like lunch at the,
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
that was good. I got a, steak and cheese, not a meat, that was good. So, that type meat. So, nice place. I like it a lot. I know. Yeah, I know.
Yeah. You want to go take a picture of it with that?
Well, my wife doesn't fully enjoy my sense of humor, believe me. Whatever. I'm leaving her enough money so she can run away with a pool boy and have a good life, okay? And you don't even have a pool.
There you go.
Well, you know, sorry. Well, it came out good, everything went good, and
It did.
I wouldn't want to get too much into it now. Meetings and places, no, thank you. You know,
Didn't think it was gonna be this warm today.
neither did I, that's why I brought an umbrella. I'm
That's later
a
on.
very sensitive man, if you don't believe me, ask her.
You just met him last night. So,
Okay, it's secrets.
well, you know,
You people up here can't keep a secret, I see.
Yeah.
All right.
mm. Let me look at what you. Mm.
That hurt.
I don't
Hasn't
think,
said-
yeah,
What's all you doing? Yeah.
I have no idea. Actually.
There's I haven't heard that. It's now it's son. I do know. You probably heard it one young. I gotta.
We'll find out if he's here.
Yeah, yeah.
So are these all the inductees?
That have been.
Right.
Okay, the new one, so I figured. Yeah. Amazing, isn't it?
Quite a process.
It is quite a problem. And that's what it is all
Yeah.
Did for a while. There is some great. Yeah. Right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Went for service, yeah. Yeah, too bad we don't know anything about.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it.
Oh, I don't understand. How can that so honest? So.
I'm gonna take off soon, Mike. It's nice meeting you.
Yeah, very nice to meet you, Brent. Yeah, we'll be in touch, definitely. Great to meet you.
Yeah.
Good luck with everything. Especially with the bucket list.
I'm going after it fast.
Yeah, we'll fill up that bucket. It's not gonna fill itself, right?
No, it doesn't fill itself. I wish it would, but you know, so that's why I'm feeling good. I'm gonna fill it up.
Yeah, man.
I actually went down and met Richard Petty. That was one of my,
Yeah,
because he was my childhood.
yes, yes.
I didn't want to be like him. I wanted to be. And I see that for me.
Wow. That's amazing. Good for you, man.
He raced at Fonda Speedway in New York. My uncle started Fonda there.
Cool.
So I watched Richard win 2 years in a row.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, God, yeah.
Exactly.
Good old 43. Yeah. Thank you. Appreciate it. Cool. There we have it. 2024 inductees on the wall.
Yeah,
Good stuff.
yeah,
Great ceremony.
yeah. Keith was happy that we had the photo with his wife in it.
Yes, that was nice.
And I put a caption underneath. I said, Keith Armstrong and his loving wife, Bob.
There we go. Nice.
Yeah,
Nice touch.
yeah.
That's cool. This.